Hi everybody, thanks for joining us for Northern Ag TV. Well, U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins provided an update on the Department of Agriculture's partnership with Mexico combating New World screwworm. The USDA is working daily with Mexico, making sure resources, tactics, and tools are in place to eradicate the screwworm. Rollins also announced the USDA is investing $21 million to renovate the existing fruit fly production facility in Mexico to further their long-term goal of eradication. The facility at full capacity can produce 60 to 100 million sterile flies weekly, pushing the population further south. The suspension on imports of cattle from Mexico will remain in place for an additional 30 days until the next evaluation. And U.S. Senators Mike Lee and Cory Booker reintroduced the bipartisan Opportunities for Fairness Act, also known as the OFF Act. The legislation seeks to reform federal commodity checkoff programs such as the beef checkoff, promoting transparency, preventing the misuse of funds, and ensuring programs operate fairly in the best interests of all producers. RCAF CEO Bill Bullard stated that RCAF applauds the bipartisan bill, bringing transparency and accountability to the outdated beef checkoff program that has been undermining the interests of America's independent cattle producers. And the South Dakota Specialty Producers Association is hosting a field day in Vermillion, South Dakota on June 20th. The field day will involve exploring small-scale regenerative and organic agricultural practices. The hands-on event will offer farmers, producers, and industry professionals a dive into regenerative practices for soil health analysis, land management, and resources for creating resilient farming systems. More information can be found at the South Dakota Special Producers Association webpage. And recently, a group of Montana State University students went on a trip to Japan as part of the Ag and Global Context class. Students had the opportunity to learn about agriculture on a global scale. Eric Belasco, an economics and ag economics professor at MSU, shares more about the class.
We've done this class. It's called Ag and Global Context for the last 25 years. And the intention is just to connect MSU students with global agriculture. So one part of it is learning about how Montana products end up in the global food system. And then the other part of it is just understanding how agriculture works in other countries. And the way the class works is we meet once a week throughout the semester and just learn more about the country that we're going to be visiting, learn more about the trade. This year, we spent a lot of time learning about the U.S.-Japan trade relationship. We export a lot of wheat. Japan produces a lot of products that we don't see in Montana.
The class spent 10 days in Japan meeting with several groups like the U.S. Wheat Associates, Beef Research Institutes, and more. Stay with us. We'll be back to look at the markets right after this.
From the beginning, we've worked closely with farmers. BNSF's ties to the agricultural community go back 175 years. Together, we've innovated to make the U.S. agriculture supply chain one of the most efficient and productive in the world. Our strong relationship powers BNSF still today and helps us move the nation like no one else can. At BNSF, we move the nation for you.
Talking with someone that you know is stressed out, those are difficult things to approach, but if you're good friends with those people, reach out and say, I'm here to talk to you. We can find somewhere to get some assistance. It's hard to get involved, but at the same time, you want to just say, hey, there is help available.
For more tips in dealing with stress in agriculture or for free counseling for egg producers, visit beyondtheweather.com.
Well, the cattle markets so far this week have been quite skeptical of outside pressure. Earlier in the week, we heard false rumors of New World screwworm entering the United States, and the contracts started to sell off quickly. Feeder cattle contracts fell around $3, with live cattle contracts not far behind, dropping $1 to $2. The USDA did make a statement announcing no screwworm has been detected in the U.S., but markets yesterday still couldn't find enough support to push levels higher. Feeder cattle contracts fell yet another $2 to $3, with live cattle falling around $1. Cash cattle bids have been rather light on this short week, but live bids have been noted at $222, down several dollars, with no dress bid surfacing. Boxed beef, however, does not seem to show any demand resistance. Choice cutouts were up another $292 at $364. Looking at the auction barns across the region, Lewistown Livestock had a strong finish to their spring schedule. Young cow-calf pairs sold for $4,100, with older pairs bringing $3,800. Weigh-up cows sold steady, bringing $151 to $162, and slaughter bulls topped the sale at $191. Lewistown will now start their summer schedule with the next all-class cattle sale on June 10th. For the grain markets, yesterday was a quiet and bearish day for row crops. Corn contracts fell another 5 to 8 cents, with corn planting progress 2 points ahead of the average at 87% complete. Warmer weather is expected for the rest of the week, keeping progress above pace. Soybean contracts fell around a dime, with little fresh news driving the markets. Similar to corn, soybean planting should continue to progress as it's well above last year's pace. Wheat markets endured quite a large sell-off on Tuesday, with contracts bouncing back yesterday after the USDA updated the crop condition report, with spring wheat conditions only 45% good to excellent and winter wheat down 2% at 50% good to excellent condition. Winter wheat contracts managed to gain 7 cents, with spring wheat right behind, up nearly 6 cents. Well, that's all the time we have for our Northern Ag TV. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.